All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Chris Adams, host of Retro Life for You. Glad to have you back this week. This week we got a special co-host with us, and Timmy. Timmy, if you'll say hi to the people here and let them know what you do and everything.
Hey, everyone. My name's Timmy, and I've got an Instagram page called Back to the 1980s with a Z on the end. And I'm just a huge collector and share all my stuff that I own. Got a couple of rooms in my house here, and I just share all that stuff on my Instagram page and just have a lot of fun, hang out.
And definitely check out his page. I tell him all the time I'm uber jealous of his collection because he's got a ton of stuff that I'm like, I could sit here in my room and stare all day and not go anywhere and be happy probably if that was the case. I don't know how you leave the house. I
I do.
mean,
I do like to come in here and sit down for a while and just sit and look at stuff. It's just fun to look at all this.
now I know you put these videos out sometimes on Instagram. I'm just curious. Now, like I seen you put one on one day where you've got the old TV in there to get the feel for the like you'll turn on the Nintendo sometimes the NES and you'll
Yes.
play a little bit of the game, or you might put a VHS tape in, start one of the movies. Now, do you actually sit in there and watch the whole movie, or just play the game for a while, or do you just make a little quick video for some fun
No, I actually do it. I actually sit in here every day,
and
like something on VCR. I pop in movies, and I've also got a lot of cartoons from the 80s. Every Saturday morning, I'm in here watching a cartoon from the 80s.
Hey,
And
there's nothing wrong. Well, we had the best cartoons, did we not?
oh, we did the best. I mean,
Now, did you grow up where you're at right now?
yes, I've grew up here my whole life.
All
So,
right, so I'm sure, like me, since I grew up just outside of Nashville, I'm sure that you get the same Saturday morning cartoons I got.
yeah,
I know every Saturday morning I would be camped out in front of the television. It would start if providing I was up in time. I'd get up around 7:30 because it
yeah,
was Saturday. It was Saturday,
right.
and there'd be the there'd be the Smurfs, there'd be the Snorks, there would
Yeah,
be I was a NBC kind of guy, so when it come to cartoons, so there'd be Shirt Tails, there was
yeah,
Alvin and the Chipmunks, there was Kid Video. Nobody remembers Kid Video. I don't know why.
yeah.
Um, but
Just,
really good cartoons. I thought Spider Man is Amazing Friends was probably my favorite. I waited for that every morning,
yeah,
every Saturday morning.
yeah. The Get Along Gang, that was a great one.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I watched all those cartoons. They were all so good.
Yeah,
Loved it.
yeah, and we had great movies back then too. In case anybody who watches my show doesn't realize yet, we had
Yeah,
great movies back then. Today we're going to talk about one of them. Uh,
absolutely.
if you notice behind me, if you're watching the video, you can see a picture behind me of we got the Goonies looking at the map there. We're going to talk about the Goonies today. It's one of my all-time favorites from the '80s. It's a little adventure movie for the kids. They go on. They're apparently losing all their houses there to some kind of developer or something like that. I believe is what he was. And so they're all going to go on one final adventure together.
Yeah,
And they decide to go after the treasure of One-Eyed Willie. That's been like a rumor or a story, to, just a tale that parents would tell their kids about and stuff. But the main character, Mikey, is fully believes in his heart it's real. He wants to go for this treasure. And
yeah.
it starts off fun right away. I mean, that little car chase scene, the
Oh,
jailbreak,
I love that scene. Yeah,
and the music is real catchy too for it. I mean, it's the way it starts off. I mean, I really like it. It's great.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
the music for sure just gets me going. As soon as I hear the music, I'm instantly hooked, and it's such an emotional feeling too. It just feels good to hear the music.
yes, because I mean, even today at our age, when we think about this, when we if you hear a music, not even that, not even just that music, any music from a movie you loved growing up that you could spot right away, it instantly kind of takes you back, and
Right.
you start remembering things from that time frame. Maybe it's something with you and your friends at that age or something that you used to do. Maybe you rode your bikes across town or something with your parents not knowing.
Yeah.
Or time you would spend taking your bike with your friends down to the creek and spending the day at the creek or something of that nature. These memories just flood back to you. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing this show so much, because talking about the older movies and TV shows, music and everything, it just brings back a more fun time in your mind.
It really does. And it was such a fun time. Like you said, go out on adventures with friends. We'd hop on our BMX bike, and that was our freedom. That was our transportation. And
Hmm.
got anywhere we wanted to go. And a lot of times I wouldn't come back till the street lights came on.
That's what
And
time you knew to be home.
yeah, that's yeah, and it's like our parents at that time had no way to get a hold of us unless they knew we were at some friend's house. My mom might call and just check on me,
Hmm.
see how I'm doing. But for the most part, they didn't hear from me all day. It was just
Right.
out on an adventure, and that's why I love the Goonies so much because we actually lived pretty much what the movie was about. I mean, I didn't go into a cave and actually find treasure or anything like that, but
No.
you know, I did go on treasure hunts. I remember going in the woods and we would pretend like we were digging up treasure and stuff. And
Hey, you never know what you might have found either. I
that's right.
mean, you could have
Yeah.
found something for all you know. Um, and then not only that, but I mean, staying gone all day, like you mentioned, like they would do. I live not far from the ballpark where we played baseball. We went and practice the practice field. We'd go there in groups of us and get a small game together. Uh, or there would be an apartment complex nearby where friends would live, or you might have lived in that complex or something, and friends came over, and you got a bunch of the kids around to play a kickball game outside or a wiffle ball game. Uh, Once you said, take a trip out into the woods if you live close enough to a place where there's paths or trails to get into and stuff like that. I mean, then you built your forts or your
Yeah.
bases or your obstacle as boys obstacle courses that we had to show off. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
stuff like
For
that.
sure.
In my case, in one apartment complex we lived, going down the back side of the apartments, and it sloped kind of downhill. Wasn't a direct downhill, just a straight, steady slope, and it was perfect for racing our bikes down the back of it. And it was like an obstacle course for bike races because people had their clotheslines pulled from the fence line to their back door. There was little trenches where the dirt had washed out of the backyard area, and if you didn't jump over that little trench, it's going to be a nasty flip.
Yeah.
So we all kinds of things to see who'd win, getting to the bottom first. Making ramps, jumping with your bikes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole adventure of the day is just the feel for the Goonies. It's one
Yes,
big adventure in
it
their
is.
local area, and that's what makes it so fun to watch even today. So
It
I
is.
know they've kicked around an idea of either a follow up movie or a remake, and I don't know which it is.
I've heard that, but now that Richard Donner has passed away, I don't know that it will ever happen. But to me, I would love to see a part two or something like that. But for to me, they would have to recapture that magic they had back then, and
And
I
that's
don't.
gonna be hard to do.
It's going to be hard to do because of technology nowadays. To me, they would have to use the old technology, film it the way it was filmed then, just to and the music would have to be brought in, maybe updated a little bit, but you got to recapture that magic they had back then. I just don't know if that can happen.
I don't think that it can either. Even if you brought in everybody that we see in my picture here, we got Mikey, we got Mouth, we got Chunk, and we got Data.
Right.
So you bring them back. You bring Mikey's brother back,
Brand.
Brand. Yes,
Yeah.
bring him in. Bring the girls in. Bring
Mm.
everybody back and see if you can make some. But they're all going to have kids of their own at this point. And they would probably make it about their kids going on an adventure. With the say
Right.
they all came together after so many years for a reunion of some sort in some fashion, I guess. And the kids come with them, and they all meet each other for the first time, and they learn
Yeah.
about their parents being a little group called the Goonies. The Goonies never say died. Now they're going to have their own little adventure while they're there. They've heard about the adventures they took and did, so now the kids are going to do it. But I don't know, like you said, if you could really recapture that feeling because they've already done it with them as kids themselves. How would you make it modern but still get the same feel to it?
Right.
I think that's the problem they ran into with a Christmas story when they did a Christmas story
Yeah.
or whatever it was. I think it's what it was called. I liked the movie. I liked
Yeah.
the feel for it. It was the same type style as the original,
Yeah.
but you still never got the feel, the magic of the first one, the way it felt when you watched the first one.
Right. And I,
Um,
I and I almost think when you wait a long time to do that, many years go by,
mhm.
everything's changed, and kids nowadays are not the same as we were. They're definitely not like we were as kids, and
No.
um, so I've seen movies in the '80s that I loved, the first one, and then there would be a second one come out, but it came out within 2 or 3 years, like Karate Kid and
Hmm.
Karate Kid 2. I love Karate Kid 2, and it still had that magic.
Yeah.
Like Rambo. If Goonies had come out with part two in '87, it probably would been just as awesome.
Yeah.
And it would had that magic.
If
When
he
you
would have had them in their teenage years, I mean, why
right,
not? Why not? That would have been great.
exactly. But I'm not saying it can't be done because Top Gun just recently did Maverick, and oh my gosh, I'm not going to give it away, but that is an awesome movie, and they did a great job with that movie. They recaptured some magic there.
To me, that's the only movie that came out last year.
Yeah,
Or,
exactly.
you know, and
Yeah,
there wasn't anything very good that came out for me last year until that hit, and I'm like, wow,
yeah. I
that was
was.
and it was great.
It was one of those you had to see in a theater, and
Hmm.
soon as you, and something I've always said is soundtrack scores and music. That's a big part of the movie. To make the movie great, that had to have great music back then, and they always did that.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
and I think that's what they did with Maverick. They had some of the music, and it just made it great. I was in the theater watching that, and I'm like, I feel like this is 1986, and I'm a teenager all over again, sitting in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, you still get a touch of the intro music from the original movie as a part of this one.
Yeah,
And then what else they added with it? I mean, it was just it all fits fine. And that's the quality of '80s movies to me, and it carried over into the '90s. But I think they started dialing it back a bit when it comes '90s.
yeah,
And now 2000s, you still got some movies that pick up a little bit, like The Hobbit, for example. Not The Hobbit, I'm sorry, Lord of the Rings movies.
uh-huh,
Some of the background music for that, the orchestra type feel, uh, the scores and everything, that was great for me. But
right,
back in the '80s, you got artists that are putting music to the movies.
yes.
If you wanted a soundtrack song, you called Kenny Loggins,
I was fixed to say Kenny Loggins.
and the man just instant. I mean, you got Footloose, you got Danger Zone, you
Yeah,
got I'm All Right, you
yeah.
got oh, what's the well, he had two or three songs actually in Footloose. It
Over
wasn't
the
just Footloose.
yeah, and over the top, meet me halfway.
Meet Me Halfway.
He had some on Caddyshack.
That's
Uh,
the one that was the I'm All Right song, I believe.
I'm all
Like
right, yeah,
the
but
Caddyshack.
he was a genius on that. He is the soundtrack king of the '80s for sure.
Yes, and then you had other ones as well that fit well. We did a show in the first season of this podcast. We were trying to pick out our favorite songs from '80s movies, and that's hard for me to do.
It,
I've got an entire playlist on my Spotify just of movie soundtrack songs.
yeah,
And
I've got a ton. I actually own a lot on vinyl album, uh,
yeah,
but I probably could have 100 top 10 '80s songs.
it's so easy to do. I
Yeah,
even some of the more, I don't want to say it really obscure or anything. A lot of people, if you ask them, "Hey, have you ever heard of the '80s movie Break In or Break In Two, Electric Boogaloo?" They're like, "What's that?" Well, it was a
yeah,
dance movie back in the day, you know. But the soundtrack, I'm trying to tell them, it had a good soundtrack to it. You had Shaka Khan on there.
yeah,
You had Ollie and Jerry, you had the Barclays. You had a lot of nice music for that type of movie and everything, and it was really cool sounding too.
right.
Um, and then you got, like I said, back to the Goonies again. We got Goonies Are Good Enough with Cyndi Lauper. That was a big
Oh,
hit. And the video she made for it was huge.
yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I still remember today. I mean, wrestlers mixed in with it. It was strange. I think Captain Lou was her father, and uh, they had a
Yeah,
couple other wrestlers in for some reason doing some things.
I actually
But
on the tracked on cassette,
there you go.
and I have it on vinyl, and that's just the soundtrack. But then I also have the score on vinyl also. So there's two different types of soundtrack. There was the score, and then there was the actual artist that sung.
Right, right.
Yeah, I loved it.
Now, now, in case anybody who's watching this is not 100% up on the Goonies, you might have watched it a little bit, or you've seen some clips or something. Because I do have some people that reach out to me sometimes. They're like, I love that time frame. I'm watching more and more things. I'm getting more involved with it. I'm finding good movies I like, but I don't know any people to watch. Who's good to watch? And I'll always throw these names out there. Anything about Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah,
anything about Sylvester Stallone, Chuck
yeah,
Norris, Tom Hanks. You got a lot of people out there that's got some great '80s movies. But in this movie here, granted they were kids when it happened, but Sean Astin has gone on to make a lot of great movies in his time. I think
right. Yeah,
that I liked. We're not going to say they were Golden Globe winners and stuff like that, Academy Awards, but I loved them. A lot of stuff he put out.
yeah. He does.
Toy Soldiers he did was great.
Yes, that's probably one of my other favorites he done.
Yes, and then of course a lot of people today would probably know him more as Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings. But
Right.
even before that, like I said, Toy Soldiers, Rudy,
Rudy. Yeah.
the story of that. I mean, he had 51st Dates. He was in with Adam Sandler.
Yeah. I
That was
forgot.
hilarious.
He was that was very that movie for him to play that part was very uncharacteristic of
It
him. And
was.
when he played that, I just loved that part.
Oh gosh,
To me, his part was one of the best parts in the movie.
it was because he's hilarious. He's very
Yeah,
memorable. He's very memorable,
he
and
was
that's
hilarious.
what makes it good. If you can remember it 2 years down the road or more, what this guy did in it, it's a
Yeah,
good job. His
exactly.
the guy that plays his brother in the movie is Josh Brolin, and this I think was Josh
Right.
Brolin's first movie, was it not?
I
The
think it
Goonies.
was. And then he went on to do Thrashing. Another
Now,
great.
some people are like Josh Brolin. Are you talking about Thanos?
Yeah,
The
I
guy that
know.
snapped his glove? You're talking about him? Yes, we're talking about Thanos himself. He was in the
Yeah.
Goonies. He
It's
wasn't
funny.
I don't think he was an official Goonie though, was he? I mean, he was just his brother. He wasn't an official Goonie, I don't think.
That's a good question. I've never really thought about
I
that.
haven't, I
He
was
never
kicking it
claimed to
around.
be, huh?
No, he didn't. I was just kicking it around last night with somebody. I said, "Hey, you watched Goonies, did you?" Like, yeah. I said, "Hey, was Mikey's older brother considered a Goonie, or just he
That's
was
a good
Mikey's older
question.
brother?" So we couldn't
Well,
make up our minds either.
that's a good question because whenever what's the girl's name? Andy, I think. Is it Andy? I'm trying to remember.
Andy,
Andy.
Andy.
When they're down there in the well, and Mikey's down there giving his speech about the Goonies, and she says, "But I'm not a Goonie,"
Mm-hmm.
and so it could have just been these four right here, the pictures behind you. They may
That
have
could
been
have
the
been.
only. Yeah,
Because they're the four friends, and then you've got Andy and Steph, which are the girls.
yeah,
Of course, then you've got Bran, which is the older brother. He's
right.
off in his own thing at his age. He don't hang out with the kids or anything. He's just to
He's after the
babysit
girl.
Mikey or something, right?
Yeah,
So that's probably what it is. I imagine
yeah.
he's probably not officially a Goonie, but by movie standards, we'll call him a Goonie. Jeff Cohen played Chunk. Now we don't really see him in anything else after that. He doesn't really pursue acting very much. He is
No,
instead in. I think he's a lawyer. He's a law firm right now,
yeah. I
but
think
it's
he's a
for
lawyer,
Hollywood.
a Hollywood lawyer or
Yeah,
something.
he's a Hollywood lawyer,
Yeah,
which he's kind of in Hollywood still to this day, but not quite how a lot of people try to stay in Hollywood. He's not really acting or anything.
right.
Somebody who, in my opinion, was great when he was younger and just got weirder as he got older. Corey Feldman.
That's true.
I like Corey Feldman. I want to
I
like
met
him.
him. Yeah, I
Did
actually
you?
got to. Yeah, I met him, and last year, and I had a couple of vinyl soundtracked albums I wanted him to sign. One was the Goonies,
Mm-hmm.
one was License to Drive, and I had the Lost Boys soundtrack. But when I walked up to meet him, he wasn't very friendly, I guess.
He gives that
Uh,
aura about him that you don't
he
want to.
does.
He doesn't feel approachable.
He wasn't. That's a good word. He wasn't very approachable. And my wife asked him a question, and he was just kind of like his answer wasn't very polite, I guess you could say. Um, but yeah, I know he's went through a lot in his life and the stuff he's come out with. But I don't know if you're going to be in that spotlight and you're going to be there with fans. You think you would present yourself that way?
Exactly, and I had a similar situation earlier this year here in Nashville. We went to this is totally off topic, which I usually don't go in, but uh, you have one up there in Pigeon Forge. It's Cooters. I don't know if it's Cooters Garage or Cooters. Some do.
Yeah,
It's
it's Cooter's Garage.
Cooters Garage. Okay, so they got the one here in Nashville, across from the Opryland Hotel and Opry Mills and everything. And we went there because Tom Wopat was going to be there. I'm a huge Dukes of Hazzard fan. Went and had a picture.
Yeah.
Me and two of my friends went, and me and one of my other buddies got a picture together with Tom Wopat by the General Lee. And we were getting back in line to have him sign it. So we're up there getting him to sign it. He signs mine. And my friend, while he's signing mine, mentions to him that he really likes his movies where he plays the sheriff of a town. And I'm drawing a blank on. I shouldn't have brought it up. I can't think of it. But there's a town. And they're kind of recent. There's a part 2 that just come out for it.
Yeah.
But and he also talked about the
Okay.
Christmas movie him and John Steiner did together. But he told him, he said he really likes it, but he doesn't have it yet. He's trying to wait till he gets something watched on it. But Wopat's answer was kind of short, snarky, kind of, I don't want to say smart aleck. It wasn't really smart aleck, but it just felt like it was kind of short and snarky, like he was being like, I can't believe I'm having to answer this question, but or say this remark, but
Yeah.
It's just how I felt about
Well,
it.
it's funny you mentioned. It's funny you mention that because I've heard other people kind of say that about him too,
Hmm.
and I'm hoping. I don't think I've told you this, but I was asked to be a special guest this year at Hazard Fest.
You have
So
not told me. I saw you posted about it though. Congratulations on that, by the
yeah,
way.
I put it in my story. So yeah, thank you. So this October I get to be a special guest at Hazard Fest. So I'll be set up and get to hang out with all the Dukes cast and everything and whoever's there. So I'm hoping that maybe me being there like that, I'm hoping he'll talk to me or be a little nicer, but I don't know. I've kind of heard those things about him, but we'll see. I'll find
I
out. Not
I really would like to see the two of them and Catherine Bach together at a uh, Comic Con Fan Expo, something like that. I would like to
yeah,
see that, get a picture with all three of them because everybody from Dukes of Hazzard's dying off on us now.
yeah, I know.
We've got Rick Hurst and Sonny Schroyer left, along with the actual Dukes. And I think that's it.
Yeah, and Sonny, I think he's oldest now. I think he's in his 80s.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
he's definitely up there. So I would like to be able to see that and get all their autographs and everything. It's just a challenge though.
yeah.
Now where they having Hazard Fest this year?
They're
Same
having
place as last year, or are they moving it?
Newport Cocke County Fairgrounds
Okay.
here in Tennessee. So
I'm trying to that now. That's not far from you, I'm sure. If I'm
no,
not mistaken, that's about where it was this past year. Then I think.
I think so. Yeah, and it's 50 minutes for me or something like that. So
Okay, so
I'm honored that they asked me to come be a special guest.
well, that's cool though. I mean, that's one of the things that I mentioned to you before. When I said congratulations when you hit your 100,000, wasn't it? You're over 100,000 followers. I know now.
Yeah,
So that's like
yeah,
one of the perks, basically.
yeah. So
You're like a what do they call it? Influencer at this point. You got a huge following, so and you're local, which makes it even better. So you're going to draw local people.
I get yeah, I get called that an influencer and got a few things happening. And Lisa Downs is a producer, and she the documentaries, the Life After series. She's done Life After
Hmm.
Flash and Life
Yeah.
After the Navigator, Light of the Navigator. Well, she's doing After Atreyu from the Never Ending Story, and she has interviewed me, and I'm going to be in the documentary. So she's kind of like a view of it stuff, and so I'm very excited about that. And the documentary is coming out sometime at the beginning of summer. I'm very honored I get to be in that. It's going to be cool.
It's cool. I've been after her for a little while. Actually, we go back and forth a little bit. I'll get in touch with her. She's going to be able to come on the show at some point, and then I remember I had to put it off one time, then she had to put it off another time. So it's a challenge sometimes when you're trying to get people to come on. But one of these
Yeah,
days we're going to have a right time
I
frame,
bet
and I'll be glad to have her on. She's done some interesting
she's a
things.
really nice lady.
She definitely
Yeah,
seems to be
she's a
from what I've
really
seen so
lady.
far.
So, but yeah,
So well, back to this, the
but yeah,
cast
that's the
members and
perks of my
everything.
age. I've
What's that?
yeah, I said yeah, I said my page. I've got to meet some really cool people and interact with celebrities and stuff. It's just been fun. It's been cool. So
That's the one thing I've liked about this so far too. I liked about the podcast, not so much my page because my page hasn't got there, but the podcast itself has given me the ability and the blessing to be able to talk to other people that I would have not normally gotten to talk to. Um, like I never would in my life thought I would talk to
right,
someone from a
yeah,
TV show that I grew up watching and loving, or a movie, or uh, until I mean, I guess maybe
right.
I felt this was different than doing my previous podcast. The previous was a wrestling podcast, and it was easy to get some of the older wrestlers on to talk to.
Oh, okay,
They they like to talk about the good old days of wrestling and everything, and it's cool. That's when I grew up and it was fun. So that
yeah,
was fairly easy. This has not been as easy, but still, it's been a blessing just the same to talk to some of these people. Uh, Carrie Green was
that's
Andy.
cool.
Now, what else was she in? She was in Summer Rental too,
Right.
wasn't she? I was thinking
She
now
was
what
in
else did
I think wasn't she in Lucas?
Lucas?
Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas and Summer Rental. That's the two I remember
Yeah,
her from
with
other than this.
so she she's got to act with Corey's then.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Haim and Feldman.
Right. And then Martha
Yep,
Plimpton. Martha
because I
Plimpton's
think
been
he
in
was
quite.
Lucas.
Corey Haim was Lucas, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. I don't. It's been such a
Yeah,
long
Corey
time
Haim
since
was
I've seen
Lucas.
that movie. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
he was Lucas.
um,
So
now I always mess his name up, so I'm just gonna say Key Kwan. The the middle name gets me every
yeah,
time. Is it Key
I,
Hugh or Key?
yeah, I'm not good at his name either.
Yeah. I mean, the only things I remember him from, and I think it was it. I think it was just the Indiana Jones movies and Goonies. That's what I
Yeah,
know him from,
Indiana
anyway.
Jones and Goonies. I can't think of anything else, but I know he's recently got back into acting and stuff like that. And was up for some awards, so I think
He
he's doing
has.
pretty
There's
well now.
some movies got into it. He's gotten back to it a little bit. John Matuzak, Sloth, everybody's favorite
Yeah,
hero, Sloth.
Sloth.
How many times
Yeah,
when you were younger did you go around just yell, "Hey, you guys"? It cracks me
I'm
up.
still doing it.
You still doing it? Okay.
I still do it.
Oh, uh, they say
Yeah,
it took several hours of makeup in that chair every day they filmed with him to get that thing up, but they nailed it though.
yeah, they
Let's
done a great
see.
job. That was his character was funny, and Baby Ruth,
Baby. And then, and it's like all he sat and watched them when he's in his chair. They said he watched just the pirate movies all the time. That's what he was. So when he got to the point that we're at the actual pirate ship
yeah.
to save him, he's reliving the whole movie he's watched on TV over and over now. And it's an Errol Flynn movie. I forget which
Oh
one it
yeah,
is, but um, speaking of that ship,
yeah.
now they made an actual model of that ship, and nobody wanted it when it was over with. I mean,
I know,
I,
I know it.
I
That
like I had to buy
can you
I
imagine
had to buy me
that
a house
now?
with a big backyard on purpose just to have it in my backyard.
I would. I know it. I would love to have that ship now, but I think they destroyed it. I think they. I don't know if they blew up or just burned it or what they did with it.
I don't know, but I think they did eventually destroy it because nobody would take it or anything. So they were like that have nothing to do with that. And I
Yeah.
remember hearing on another podcast, which I think you listened to them too, on Buzz in the Tower. They were talking about it, and they were like, "Can you imagine nobody wanting that ship?"
Yeah.
You know, I would take that in a heartbeat.
I
I just don't
know.
know I don't know where I'd put it, but I'd take it.
I,
The Fratellis. I mean, how
can you
funny were
imagine
the
how people would
Fratellis?
love to have? Oh yeah, they're hilarious. And Mama.
And for the record, I think we have a delay between us. I just noticed. I think I heard myself a little bit. I think we have a delay, so I think that I'm stepping on you sometimes. So I'm sorry if that's happening. I'm not trying to when you're talking. I'm not trying to step on your conversation when you're talking, but I
Oh,
think that's what's happening.
it could be a delay. So
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm pretty
trying
sure
to
we have a little bit of a
step
delay there.
either.
But now,
Okay.
yeah, the
Well, my
Fratellis I
son
mentioned.
be downloading something.
Oh, could be, could be. But yeah, the Joe Pantalon. Oh, God, I can't say his name. Pantaleano or Joe Pantalon.
I
Whatever.
can't either.
Joey Pants. Joey Pants. That's what they call him. Joey Pants.
Yeah,
Robert
Joey
Davy.
Pants.
Yeah, Robert Davy and Ramsey as Mama. She
Yeah,
was also Throw Mama from the Train,
Mama
wasn't she?
was. Yep, and I've got that VHS tape. I saw that movie in the theater.
I don't think I saw it in the theater. I waited till it came out on tape and I watched it then. But yeah, that was a
Oh,
good one
okay,
as well.
I saw it in the theater.
Yeah,
She
I think that was what was
she
that?
was
Billy
pretty
Crystal,
funny.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, yep, it
Okay.
was.
So this movie
Yep.
for I mean, people asking anything about any questions on how great it was at the time. The movie itself is an hour and 54 minutes long. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it goes a lot faster than that. And the budget was 19 million estimated for it,
I
but the
agree.
movie grossed 64 million worldwide, which was quite a bit at that time. Now, I don't
Right.
know how much over the years it's made, but it's one of those movies that become like a big fan following after the fact too. And it's I'm sure it's made tons of money over the years altogether. I often wonder, some of these movies, how we can,
Oh
if
yeah.
we could tell how much they've brought over the years. Because Last Starfighter I mentioned before did like 19 million, but I wonder since the time it was released on VHS and over all the years of being on TV and getting the other stuff, covering for it and everything, the money it's made off of royalties and everything. I wonder how much money over the years these movies have really hauled in.
Oh, I'm curious about that. And like if the movie, if it came out now, it would make more money than it did back then.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Sean Astin talked about before when he was asked about the movie and um, like, well, did you get anything from the movie? Did you take anything from the set to remember it by? And he said he was or either took or was allowed to keep the treasure map that was used in the film. But his mother, thinking
Yes,
she thought it was garbage in his room and threw it away. I, I
I've
know
heard.
that
I'd be
is that's
sick over that.
yes, it's crazy. I mean, to think. I mean, the actual prop from the movie of the map for the treasure from One Eye Willie, if that was still in one piece today, and he had it, that would have to be worth no telling how much money to a collector
Mm.
that they can have. And if I had it, nobody would get it from me for sure.
Can you? No. Can you imagine having that now? I mean, the original one that was in the movie, and I've heard that story that his mom away, and do you know his mom is Patty Duke?
Yes, mom is Patty Duke. His father is
Yeah.
it John Aston played Gomez on the Adams Family TV show. Played I think his name was
Right. Yeah.
Buddy on Night
Yeah.
Court.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. That's his dad.
Yeah, it's pretty well. That's cool. He they're in Astoria. Well, they filmed a lot of this in 5 months in Astoria, but stuff like the cave where the ship was and
Right.
everything, and certain other parts of it were filmed in Burbank, California. They said on set and everything, but in Astoria where it was filmed, they have named June 7th is officially Goonies Day there. Every year they have a celebration for Goonies.
That's really
And
cool. Yeah, that's
it
really
is, and
cool.
it is, and I wonder what they do while they're there. I mean, it's like I'm sure they got some kind of fun
Yeah,
and games thing going on, a little small carnival type maybe. But the ultimate thing they have to do for this, if they don't do this, I'd be disappointed. On Goonies Day, they have to have a treasure hunt of some sort.
I would think. I mean, you would have to do that. I know that someone just recently bought the house, and I don't know if they're making it a museum or what, but I think they're allowing the public to come see it now. The previous owners wouldn't let anybody up there, and I feel like a
Mhm.
house like that it needs to be viewed for the public to be able to see it. So it's just an icon house.
Yeah, there was something about the neighbors also surrounding it didn't want anybody to come by there either.
Yeah, I think so. But like I say, it's an iconic house and the surrounding areas. I want to and visit the whole area. I want to see the thing. It'd be really cool to see. It'd be a fun day for me. I think the jail. I
Yeah.
think you can see the jail.
Well, to see the house would be cool, and to see the area of the beach where they come up at, where the rocks are, where the ship is passing through, I think that would be cool as well.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. That beach is iconic to see too.
Yeah, it would have to be that movie I couldn't think of a while ago was called The Inferno, by the way, the Errol Flynn. But no, no, hold on. The ship was called The Inferno. The movie was called The Seahawk, I believe. That was the Errol Flynn movie they had.
Okay.
That they had Sloth watching the whole time when he's chained up in his chair.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, when they do the thing, I mean, the adventure they go on. Let's kind of get back on that a little bit again. I mean, following the map to begin with, it takes you to that old restaurant where the Fratellis are at and they're hiding out. But to get down, I mean, to take the little where it goes down under where the fireplace is, they hear them come in. They got to run, get away. The only place to go is down, because they hear water going down and underneath it, and they follow the path from there to see where it leads them to. It gives you a feeling kind of like well, I mean, kind of like an Indiana Jones kind of feel in a sense from the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Funny enough, uh, the booby
Right.
traps, or I'm sorry, the booty traps. You know,
The booty traps.
the booty traps that they have. That they find out
The
the
booty
bats
traps.
coming
Yeah.
out and everything. The piano
Yeah.
thing where you got to play the bones to get through and everything. Uh,
Yeah. So much fun.
I mean, the way it incorporates with the way the town is that day. They're going through and they find what they thought is treasure to begin with, but it's the wishing well when they get
Yeah.
there, where they have their little speech and everything. And they keep going underground where they're at. The cave actually extends that far, and they keep going deeper into the cave. And in a sense, I guess if you're a kid, that might be a scary thing for you. You don't know where the cave's going to come out at, if it comes out at all, if you're going to get stuck in there. They can't go back the way they went in because the booby
Yeah.
traps or the rocks are falling and blocked them off now.
Yeah.
They can't go back
Exactly.
that way.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, I mean, I think it comes out, it goes across town. It looks like if you're looking at the map and compare, just thinking in your mind, real life where it's at. You go past the Wishing Well area, and it goes down into the caverns down by the beach because that's where it breaks open and the ship comes out going across the ocean at that point. But I mean, just picturing that kind of adventure you're going on and wondering if you're going to make it out at any point, any time at being scary at first, it's
It would.
also got to be a rush of some sort too.
Oh yeah, for sure. That would definitely be scary, not knowing where you're going to end up at. But there again, you're on an adventure, and you're following not that far. I think his speech, Chester Copperpot. Look where he ended up. He was dead, and they passed him on up. They got further than he
Yeah,
did. So Mikey's giving that speech in the wishing well. Let's keep going. Look where we are. Goonies never say. I use that all the time, by the way. I say that to everybody.
I got that one. I do
I
that
consider
one, and
myself a Goonie.
right, right. Well, I think we all do in some sense. I like to use that when the Goonies never say die, and if I happen to make a quick catch that no one expects or something, like I go to drop something, I reach down and snatch it real quick and pull it up, and they look at me. I look at them and I go, "It's all in the reflexes."
It's
You gotta
all
love
the
those.
reflexes.
You gotta love those little '80s one-liners. They're still in use today by everybody. You know. Uh,
I know it. They're awesome. I
can
love the one-liners.
Now I don't know. Now in your neck of the woods, there's some old treasure tales as well, back up in the mountains and everything. I've always been told those growing up. There's supposedly there's a
Mm.
treasure of gold buried up in the mountains there somewhere. They say that some people left behind that they never got to go back and get. I don't know if
Hmm.
you know that tale or not. I would think living up
No,
there
I've
you
not
might
heard
have
that.
heard it, but never heard. Wow, I would think living there you
Yeah, I've
would have
not
heard
heard.
it before. Now I don't know if it's a real legit tale or not. Then if that's the case, I would think anybody living up there would have heard that a long time ago. But we were told, as kids growing up and everything, and you look at treasure books and stuff, and you hear things on television and see things and people talking. And there was supposedly some kind of a robbery that happened where they had stolen gold from people, back in the
Hmm.
real early days, and they had stashed it up in the mountains up there in the Smoky Mountains, but no one knows
Okay.
exactly where.
Wow.
So, and I thought,
I've
well,
not.
that's cool. There's your Goonie
Yeah,
adventure right there, waiting to happen.
I know. I've not heard that. So I'm going to have to ask my parents, my dad that's lived here his whole life too.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask him if he's heard that because
yeah,
wow, that would be interesting if that's the truth. I'd be one of be hunting for that. That'd be
I,
fun.
I wouldn't mind knowing if it's real myself, just so I would know, just to get it out of the way and know, hey, it was real after all. It really did happen, Kind of like how
Yeah,
the whole DB Cooper thing, did DB Cooper really jump out and do this right here and everything? Some people say it really happened. Some people say, yeah, he didn't really have no money with him or nothing, but he was just getting
right,
away. Who knows? I mean, I don't know,
right.
but that would, if that's there, then there's your Goonie adventure right there in your neck of the
Ex-
woods. It might be
exactly.
a little bit further than a bicycle drive.
That's what I was thinking. I'll have to drive my truck or something for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you might want to do that. Take some protection from them bears. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't
We
know how
got some
many.
bears.
Well, yeah, I don't know how many of them were around at the time when it supposedly happened, but can you imagine though? I mean, the adventure of looking for something is one thing, okay? Like we see these things on TV with the Oak Island deal with the
Yeah,
treasure, and
I love that show.
yeah, it's always fun to see what they're gonna find if they're finding the gold or something, or they found
Yeah,
something that's not really gold, but it's still really old and it was useful, and it's neat to see it pulled up nowadays.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, here I am saying that, and I I find it impressive if I find a wheat penny in the from the store or something. I mean,
right.
but still, I mean, can you imagine not only doing the adventure of looking for it, but the feeling of finding something like that whenever they get to the ship finally and thinking all of a sudden that the treasure is not real because they found the ship, which is a treasure on its own.
Right,
But
exactly.
but they're like, where's the gold, Mikey? Where's the gold?
Yeah, where's the
It's
gold?
it's nowhere to be found. And then one of them trips the booby trap again. I think it was Andy.
Yeah,
Uh, and this flat door comes down, and Mouth reads it to him what it says again, and so they pop open the boards up there and they send Mikey up, and
right.
he's in the room with One Eyed Willie and his crew. They're all skeletons, of course, now,
Yeah.
but all the treasure, the gold coins, the
What?
rubies, the diamonds, the emeralds, the everything. It's all up there on the table and surrounding. I mean, just tons of stuff waiting to pick up.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't imagine
it.
the feeling of finding something like that.
Yeah, that was an amazing scene, and what an adventure that was. And then you remember the one part where it shows the scale, and it's like, was it Mouth? One of them was reaching for it, and Mikey said, "No, that's Willie's. Leave that for Willie."
Yeah.
And it's like, how does Mikey know this? And the other, they don't. They were just going to get it, but Mikey knew it somehow.
I think it's a respect thing with Mikey and One Eyed Willie that he looks
Yeah,
at because
it could be.
he's like, I found you. You didn't think I'd do it, but I found you.
Yeah, he beat him.
Yeah, I beat you. I found everything, and but at the same time, he's respectful enough to leave his alone and not touch his, but
Right.
take everything else.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a respect thing between him and his skeleton sitting there. No, I don't think knowing that there was a trap involved with it. I think it's just like I said, just a respect deal. Now, when the Fratellis get there, they don't care. They're taking everybody's stuff, right? So they go to take his, and it releases some kind of a
Right.
weight triggered booby trap and sets things off going from there. But
Yeah.
I remember watching this to this day, watching it for the first time and remembering what it was like, for me thinking as a kid how cool it would be to find something like that. And then, well, they lost it when the Fratellis got there. So they found it, but they don't have it no more. It's no good. They
Right.
lost everything, but they got out alive though, and they're up there on the beach.
Yeah.
But then when you see was it Rosalita? I think her name
Yeah.
was.
Rosalita. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm getting the visual of Mouth walking her around
Yeah. I
translating.
know it. That was funny.
This is where the drugs are kept.
Yeah. Yeah. And
This is the torture room over here.
Yeah, they're gonna lock her up if she don't do what they say.
Right. But she's trying to figure out how to tell them not to sign the paper because she's looking in the marble bag, and it kind of find if you remember he had dumped his marbles out and loaded full of gems. So now
all the jewels,
all the money they ever need to save the town and save the day is right there in the bag, and that saves the day, and they don't have to move no more or anything. So
right,
it's one of those, just one of them good feeling kind of deals where
it is.
I don't know. It's like I don't know if you've ever done this before. I think everybody's practically done this at one point, but we don't have obviously adventures where we can find pirate gold and everything. But we do have this little thing called the Powerball, and a lot of people play the Powerball, and they're like, "Oh, if I win this money, this is what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy that." And
Yeah.
oh, don't worry, I'll take care of you too. You're going to get a little something out of it. I'll take care of you. All my friends will be taken care of, all my
Yeah.
family, and we're just rattling it all off. And I'm thinking, how actually cool it would be if you come across something like that. So, uh,
Yeah.
back to what I told you earlier about the supposed thing that happened in the mountains and everything. I Who knows how much that gold would be worth today
Exactly.
with what's in there. I mean, how much gold is it? Is it gold bars? Is it gold coins? Is it just gold nuggets? Is it more than just gold? Was there old money stuck in there with it? I mean, I the old money probably wouldn't be worth a hoot anymore. It's probably deteriorated, but the gold would still last. Was there more than just gold? Was
Yeah.
there silver? Was there gems of any kind? Who knows what was all included in it? And just to be out there and come across that for whatever reason, because weather changes things over time. So if they had buried it or
Right.
put it in a cave somewhere there, because there's caves up in the mountains up there in places, if they had dumped it in places like that,
Oh yeah.
who knows? The cave may have been caved in, and you're not going to see it, years later, 100 years, 200 years later, it's finally weathered down some to where something starts sticking out of the ground, and you're walking through there, and you see this bit of a chest of some sort just sticking up out of the ground. So you go to dig the
Yeah.
rest of the way up, and you pull it out, and lo and behold, gold bullion, gold bars. I wouldn't know
Yeah.
what to do, man. I'd have a heart attack
It's
on the
very,
spot.
that's a very interesting story. I need to find out if that's the truth around here, if that really happened, because that would be a fun adventure to try. Of course, they probably did it in some area back then, and nowadays it's probably off limits or something by state parks or the government or something like that. And
To
you know what
always
I mean?
play. I used to have a metal detector,
They
and I
ruin it.
love, I love, I love doing that stuff. Metal detecting, it was fun.
Oh
I had
yeah.
I had one for regular ground. I had one for beach because beach you have to have something that will eliminate some of the stuff in the sand, or else it goes off constantly. But
Yeah.
that's always fun, and I always wanted to go into some of the areas, like some of the parks and stuff, because in the parks, those are places where they say some battles happen in some of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe I can find some pins or something, or belt buckles, or cannonballs, or stuff like it. That'd be cool to find or something. You never know what you might pull up out of there, but they won't
Yeah.
let you do any detecting in the parks at all.
I know. I
So
don't know why either. To me, that would be fun. You think that they would want that stuff to be found?
you
It's
you
history.
would think, but they say that people coming in, especially big time people coming in, tear things up. They dig things up and don't take care of their what they dug up. They don't fill their holes in.
Yeah.
They're not very professional about it. And if anybody ever allows you to go on their property and metal detect, it's your responsibility to fill in the holes that you dig up, and you try to be kind of respectful with the hole that you dig. You There's a way of digging up a divot and turning it back over in the ground where you don't lose much, and
Right.
packing it back down, and it's good. Um, so, I mean, always be respectful and fill the hole back in, so they'll let you come back again another day if you want to. But a lot of
Sure.
people don't do that, and on the larger end of it, especially if they come in, they want to come in with machinery. Well, now you're talking about destroying areas of the park, and they're not going to let that
Uh,
happen. So, do you turn around and let the small time guy come in,
no.
but not the big time guy? So they're just going to tell everybody, "No, I'm sorry, you can't come in." So, hey, you had something you said
Yeah,
you
it's
wanted to
true.
show.
Yeah. Some people ruin everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, you said you had something you wanted to show that you had done, a
Yeah.
project you did.
I've got
Do you want
a
to?
few. Yeah. I can flip my camera around right here and show you guys.
Okay,
All right. Can you see it?
I can see it. It's showing on camera right now.
You there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So first, I made the data his backpack. And
That's cool looking.
so yeah, so they originally made one of these. There's a few of these around, and I saw one on eBay in the last 10 years, very, very rare, and it was very expensive. So they actually made these back in the 80s, but they didn't make very many. And so when I saw that, I decided to make my own. And so this is custom made by Back to the 1980s.
There you go. That's a good job on it too,
Yeah,
man.
thank you. And then, of course, I've always been fascinated with BMX, and the one that Mikey rode in the movie is an 81 AMF Hawk. That's the brand of the bike. And I searched and searched for one and couldn't find one. So I went onto the BMX museum and put on there that I wanted to buy one. Well, a guy in California had this one, and it didn't look nothing like this. It was just the frame, fork, and handlebars and the seat post. And it was rusted out. It didn't even have any paint left on it, and it was just a bike. It wasn't from the Goonies or anything, but it was an 81 AMF Hawk. So I bought it and I restored it, and I painted it just like the colors from the one that Mikey wrote in the movie. And then I even got the red grips. And the only thing I did was add some stickers, some decals. His didn't have that, but I wanted people to know what this was from.
Right.
And then, of course, the wheels I had to buy separately. And these are identical to the one that's on the bike that he rode. And these are Lester mags. And believe it or not, they're from the 80s, but I got them new old stock. That nobody had ever used them. And so I was able to paint these up. So, yeah, that's my bike. And I hope to one day meet some of the cast, especially Mikey, and get his autograph on it somewhere. I think that would be really, really
You
cool.
now I don't know how far you're willing to travel, but I think they're either coming to Atlanta this year or maybe they just came from Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
There was a Comic Con there, and it was a Lord of the Rings thing where they had all the hobbits. They had Sean Astin, they had
Right.
Billy Boyd, Dominic Monaghan, and why I can't think of Frodo's name.
Oh, Sean Astin.
No,
Oh,
Frodo.
Frodo. Frodo. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I can't think of it either.
Wow, him though. All four of them were there, or they're either there or gonna be there. I forget which it was.
Right.
It's either just passed or it's coming up. So
Okay.
check out Atlanta. It's be about a 4 hour, about 3 or 4 hour drive for you, I think.
Right. Yeah,
But
but
if you're willing to make the trip with it, that might be a thing to do.
yeah, or I could just take maybe the handlebars or something off,
Right.
take those off, and just get them to autograph the handlebars. And of course, if they did that, I would probably I'd make sure to protect it where nothing smeared it. But and then over here, I've got my Goonies wall.
That's some cool right there. Now, are those figures hanging around the poster?
Yes. Now I love collecting just all original stuff from the 80s.
Hmm.
However, they didn't make these action figures in the 80s. So these are reaction figures. And
Yeah.
bought those. And then I've got Mikey right here and Data. And then over here we got Chunk,
Does he come equipped
Truffle
with a
Shuffle,
slice of pizza?
Sloth. No, he doesn't have the. He's actually looks like he's got a knife. I think that's a knife.
Yeah,
It's hard to tell what that
I
is.
can't tell.
Yeah. And then we got Sloth. And then, of course, the original VHS movie. Now, this is really cool right here. I want to show you. Let me turn the camera sideways where you can see it better. That is an original movie poster from 1985, Nabisco, and tell me how iconic that scene is. Baby Ruth and him,
Yeah,
Chunk feeding Sloth.
right. When they're locked
Yeah,
up together down there, he's still in the chains.
right.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think that's a
great.
really cool poster to have. I don't think there's many of those posters around, so I lucked up when I got that one.
Could It's definitely cool though.
Yeah, and then of course I've got some other Goonies items here, and I made these pictures of Peril. everybody always, it sounds like he says Pinchers of Powell, but when you really research it, it says Pinchers Apparel. That's what they're
Yeah,
called.
I always thought he said pinchers of power.
That's
That's
what
what
I
I
thought.
yeah, that's what I thought it was, but it's
Yeah,
not.
it's Pinchers Apparel. So, and of course, I've made the Goonies map right here. This opens up, and then got to have the triple stone. Love having that.
Now, how did you make the map?
There was actually a program. Let me see if I can get this and lay it out here. There was actually a program online that I found, and I was able to print it out. Now
Okay.
I got map paper,
Mm-hmm.
and I cut it out myself, and it's 2-sided, but it's
That,
pretty accurate and detailed.
that is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then here's the back of it where it has the music notes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's right down to the T.
Now
That's perfectly
I've
done.
actually got one in. Yeah, and then even right here, I'm trying to get to it. In my living room, I made a bigger one, but see, when you put it together, it does that.
Right.
So, yeah, in my living room, which is my movie room, I've got a bigger one. It takes up a pretty good section of my wall that I made. So that's just kind of like a
Right.
small map. But
I I
yeah,
had completely forgotten they made a NES game with them. I had completely forgotten about that.
oh yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I've played that game. A lot of times I put that stuff in, like I told you, and I actually play this stuff. I watch the VHS tapes every time I put those in. So I'm real with you guys. This is what I do.
Oh no! I once again I encourage everybody out there who's listening to this or watching this, whichever way it goes, go to and back to the 1980s with the Z at the end, not an S. That's where I messed up the first time around. Back to the 1980s, though. I mean, lots of pictures on there, lots of videos him walking through his room there. Plus, I think it's a garage. You got stuff in. You can even
Yes,
see they could even see you on video actually on Netflix if they still play that.
yes.
There's a season of what was the show called again?
It is called Swap Shop, and
Swap
I'm
Shop.
season 1, episode 4.
There was a video game they wanted to come look at. You had, and I don't forget. I don't remember if it was
Defender.
I was going to say Gallagher, but Defender. Okay,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
Defender. Yeah,
yeah. And then you end up showing off some of your other stuff with them and everything that you got in the
right.
room, and the guys are there drooling and everything like everybody usually does when they get to see.
Yeah,
It was a good episode, and like I said though, you get to see all these things a lot on his Instagram site. So if you're interested in collectibles, especially from that time frame, he's got so many cool things, not just Goonies, but movie related. Back to the Future. He's got 18. You've got a lot of different vehicles and stuff in that time frame. Knight Rider, Magnum PI, even things you wouldn't expect to see, like TC's van or the helicopter, or
yeah,
yeah, it's not just the Ferrari Magnum drove. I mean, you get pretty down, pretty detailed with your collection of things you do, down to the point where you made your own Automan car, you
yes,
know, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's hard to nail that look, that feel for it.
right.
But and a lot of people are like, his what? Is that Auto who? Yeah, there's a TV show called Automan. People back in the day, Automan.
Yeah,
He a little cursor would come out of his pocket,
yeah,
and it would make a car or a helicopter
yeah,
or whatever he needed. It would make it for him. And it
yeah.
was cool.
It was,
Uh,
and it's
it was
based off the movie Tron. I think the producers of Tron tried with a TV show,
yeah.
and
That's the
people,
exact feel you get from it is Tron.
yeah, and people loved it. It's just, and it did really well, even though it lasted almost a season, but it was just too expensive to make at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It was kind of ahead of its time a little bit
it
for
was
sure.
definitely ahead of its time. Yeah. But yeah, I
Um,
love to collect all that stuff, TV shows and all that stuff you mentioned from my TV shows and movies and cartoons.
Cartoons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love collecting all that stuff.
yeah. So I'm not going to give too much more of it away, but go ahead and check him out. Check his page out. Look at his collection. Timmy, I said I wasn't going to try not to keep you on here long. We're on the hour mark, man. That hour flew by.
Yeah, it did.
I didn't really realize we were sitting on exactly an hour and counting down seconds as we speak. So I'll go ahead and end the show here. I want to thank you for coming on and spending the hour with us this week and talking about the Goonies, man. Such a great, wonderful movie, and
Love the
uh,
movie.
I love just reminiscing with people who really enjoy these things, and it's been a blast talking with you.
Thank you, and I appreciate you having me on the show. The Goonies is my all-time number one favorite movie, with Back to the Future a close second, and then E.T.'s right there with it. But I do appreciate you having me on the show, and it's been fun. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for coming, and for all of you out there listening, as usual, you know where to find us at. We're all places where you get your downloads at for your podcast. We're also on YouTube. Now, not all videos make the YouTube, but quite a few of them do. But we're always going to be an audio there. So iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, um, Google Music, Google Play, whatever it's called, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. We're pretty much everywhere these days. Just reach out, subscribe to us, follow us. If you will, when you're done listening to the episode, do me a huge favor. Leave me a rating and a review. It really helps me in the ratings there with the platform that I'm on and gets me noticed. So I really appreciate that. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys next week. Timmy, once again, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have
See
a
ya.
good one.